It really probably related over about 20 rabbis. We've recorded approximately about 20 videos of great rabbis. Actually came from Sana'a. Yes, books in itself, including the Arichat Shulchan, Melech, Avat Melech, Zmanim LeMelech, and very much he would be great rabbis also, including Rabbi Aaron Kotler, for example, Rabbi Avram studying in, I think, part of Yeshivat Lakewood and Yeshivat Ponevezh. It's a very, very great rabbi he was of his time. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the great rabbi's life. Now, his father's name was Rabbi Yechia, was Rabbi Naomi, and he would learn alongside under the auspices of Rabbi Chaim Salach, and also under the auspices of his grandfather, Rabbi Amram Korach. Now remember, we spoke about Rabbi Amram Korach. We recorded a video within regards about him. I believe it was probably about a year and a half ago. I think his Kilula was quite recently, only around Sukkot time period, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, Rabbi Amram Korach, I believe, was a chief rabbi, if I'm not mistaken, in the Jewish community in Yemen at one stage in time. Now, come on, 1949, he would actually make Aliyah with his family, with his grandfather, to the land of Israel. Remember, 1948 was the formation of the state of Israel, so at 1949, many people will come. And it was the famous operation, let's just say, where many of the Yemenites would come. It was the Mivtza al-Kanfei Nesharim, the famous thing. Over there, he would live, I think, in Rosh Ayin when he would arrive in Israel. That's where many of the Yemenites would live in. And afterwards, moved to Jerusalem over there. And much has been time. And also in the famous yeshiva in Petach Tikva, Yeshivat or Yisrael, great rabbis, including Rabbi Yaakov Naiman, Rabbi Yosef Rozovsky, and I think come with the year Heitav Shin Yud Gimel, he would learn in Yeshivat Merkaz Arab now, so he'd be broadening his horizons in Jerusalem. That's more of a Dati Lumi yeshiva. I think he'd be learning in Merkaz Arab under auspices of Rab Avram Elkanah Kahana Shapira, who was, I think, was a great rabbi in himself, and he was his talmid. He would come then and in very, very difficult things. I think he had difficulties, according to one, in learning Yiddish at that time, because I think in the previous yeshiva in Mokorchaim or Yisrael, I'm not too sure 100%, but maybe that was predominantly someone to grasp the language at that stage in time. He would learn in Yeshivat Ponevezh in Bnei-Brak. At that point in time, was under Rabbi Yosef Shlomo Korach. Was also another great rabbi at this time. Rabbi was spoken about on various occasions over there. בשנות 50 פעל חברה במחנות העולים כדי להשפיע עליהם מבחינת רוחנית. בהמשך הקים את ארגון בני הישיבה ועמד בראשו for the Yemenite community in itself, and I think he would head this organization at that stage in time. Very, very interesting enough. He would go on to learn in Yeshivat Lakewood, Haredi, Lithuanian, Yiddish-speaking Yeshiva. It's another move now to America, to Lakewood. She came from the Shul family. I think the 6th generation from the famous Rabbi Shlomo Korach, also known as the Rosh. So really bring it into a great family in of itself. And then after a period of time in Lakewood, I think it was a year or a give and take, or a slightly extra, I'm not too sure, he would return to Ponevezh Yeshiva and would learn in Avrechim Kollel over there. And I think he would be ordained as a rabbi through Rabbi Isi Yehuda Unterman. He would give him rabbinic ordination, and Rabbi Abraham Nesher, I believe, and Rabbi Baruch Yitzchak Levin, who mentioned before, this is the fabric of Bnei-Brak in itself. So rabbinic ordination from great rabbis. Kamoshin Chafei, he was appointed a rabbi, the Yemenite Kahila Bnei-Brak, the prominent over there, and then he appointed as the rabbi of this. Let's just say he was part. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was and parts of the Rabbinate Rabbi Israel also over there. Now, Vashanat Shivim, I think around 1970, Yisod B'Shchunat Nachlat Achim B'Yerushalayim, Yeshiva Ibnei Eidat Teiman. He would actually form yeshiva for the Yemenite community. I think come up the 1970s, early part of that. Anyone joining in on this live video, we're exploring the life of a group about his family, and very more things would actually occurred in of itself. He was close to many great rabbis at that point in time, and was I think writing books, doing different writings and different undertakings, and I think he was quite close in the year 2018. Great rabbis had actually come. He was buried, I believe, in Sanhedria Burial in Jerusalem, and left descendants. I think his son, if I'm not mistaken, Beta elite, respectively. Prominent comic books include Shinun, Hatosfot, the Binat and a book on the Shas in Talmud Bavli, and further. I think he's got also 3 daughters he left. One of his daughters, Rabbanit Sila, or Chila, got married to Rab Chizkiah Samin, very interesting enough, who's a manager of the Agaf HaNisu'in organization, and very, very much connected to various different other rabbis, I think, among the books, especially a lot of it will follow the let's say the traditions of the Yemenite community, includes Arichot Shulchan, which is the Kutz Chaim. Let's say it's divided up into 13 sections, and it's on the Seder of the Shulchan Aruch, the code of Shulchan. Shulchan will also feature Haggadah Shel Pesach, a Passover liturgy, let's just say, on the Nusach of Baladi, respectively, various different halachot, Jewish laws, and customs. Then there's Sefat Melech, which is in the Mishnah Torah of the Rambam, the Chayei Bracha, which is on Tehillim, the book of Psalms, Zot Emunati, and another great book of his is Yesh Borei Olam, which is a Perush on the tractate of Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, Ruach Tahara, a book within regards to Seder of Tahara, pure. Yes, sorry everyone, there's just a problem with the internet connection over here. It's not going to go away again, connection, but we're speaking about great rabbi over here, Rabbi Shlomo Korach, about some of the great books that he left us also. The Chochmat Keduma, for example, is another great Torah book of his, and the Hora'at Minhagim on Pesach. This is from Pesach, on, let's just say, the Minhagim, the customs of the Yemenite community, respectively, and various other great books he would do. Let's say something about his grandfather, Rabbi Amram Korach. Rabbi Amram Korach, I believe, passed away in the year 1952. He was born, I think, 1871. He was a chief rabbi of the Yemenite community, so he really came from great auspices. Rabbi Shlomo did. He was about 81 years of age. He also, I think, was buried in the Sanhedria burial plot at that point in time. He was actually the son of Rabbi Yechiah Korach. So, interesting enough, Rabbi Yechiah Korach was a great-grandfather of Rabbi Shlomo Korach. Really, really great rabbi. So let's just say something about Rabbi Amram Korach while we're on that. He would actually be very much with regards to helping people make Aliyah to Eretz Israel. He was, I think, very much in the undertakings, that time period, the operation of the Kanfei Nesharim, I think at that point in time, 1950, 1949, and would help many of the people come to Eretz Israel at that time, at the formation of the Medinat Israel. Let's just say, I think his book, he'll have a book called Sa'arat Teman, and we'll really talk about the various different points of time at that stage in time, let's just say. And I think he would actually institute different tefillot, prayers, on behalf of the Israeli army at that point in time, especially on Yom HaTzmaut. They actually say more interesting facts within regards to him. Harav Korach noda b'datenu b'misratehem gem shel Yehudei Teiman kayem kishrim im hasultanot hamusaim kagon b'nosei geviyat hamisim v'pniyot shel hasultanot el rashei הקהילה. So he would be a people's person, but also at the same time correspond with many of the dignitaries, especially in Yemen, when he was living in Yemen at that stage in time. So within regards to all the different issues that will, let's say, affect the Jewish community while they were there at that stage in time. בספרו סערת תימן עשה שימוש במקורות ערביים הנוהגים להיסטוריה של יהודי תימן. He would also write different writings and chronicles with regards to the history of the Yemenite community in Yemen. I think he himself, Rabbi Amram Korach, was a grandfather of Shlomo Korach, passed away just before Sukkot and was buried as in Sanhedrin burial plot. He left 8 children, if I'm not mistaken, 5 girls and 3 sons, interesting enough. So and as we mentioned before, his grandson, Rabbi Shlomo Korach, who we're speaking about today, would become the rabbi of the city of bebnei-Brak, very prominent position. So we're just speaking about his grandfather, Rabbi Amram Korach, at the moment. Rabbi Amram Korach wrote great Torah books also. Al-Mot Shir, this is, I think, Shirei of Rabbi Yosef ben Yisrael and Rabbi Shlomo Shabzi. These are great Yemenite rabbis. Obviously, another one of his books is a Sa'arat Teiman, which is a historic book on, let's just say, the chronicles of the Jewish community of Yemen, respectively. And very much we should say more within regards to that. Another one of his books is a Nevei Shalom, which is Peirush, expoundation on of Rav Sadia Gaon, and the Nechem Ilan and the Machon Ben Tzvi, I think, printed it at that point in time. Now, he had great rabbis also, we have to point out. Now, one of the rabbis he's very, very much connected to is one of the great Talmudim rabbis, someone from his generation, Rabbi Yitzchak Ratzabi, another great rabbi. Let's speak about him for a minute. This is close to Rabbi Shlomo Korach, who we're speaking about today. And he also, Rav Ratzabi, just like Rav Korach, is a great Torah author of many, many books with regards to tradition, Musar, and Halacha. He would write manuscripts from Arabic to Hebrew, and he actually, Rav Ratzabi, one of the rabbis Rabbi Korach was close to, is the head of the Pu'ulat Tzaddik institutions and teaching cells, and is a Nasi of Yeshiva Eitan Torah, I think in Elad, and one of the great leaders, let's say, of Yemenite Jewry, respectively. Let's just say something about him at the moment. I think he's 72 years of age. Currently, Rav Ratzabi is, and very much, I think he lives in Bnei-Brak. He actually would learn his yeshiva education in Kol HaTorah Yeshiva, and write various different books on the code of Jewish law, and is seen as, let's just say, one of the heads of Yemenite Jewry, without doubt, across the world. He's the son of Rav Nissim Ratzabi, and he's got one of his sons is famous Rabbi Moshe Ratzabi, who we should point out. Also, let's just say a few minutes about him. He really continues, let's say, the traditions of the famous Maharitz, who was, I think, around 200 years ago, a rabbi we spoke about on various occasions before, and a bridged version, let's just say, of the Code of Jewish Law, the Shulchan Aruch. And he would talk about how the Yemenite rabbis would accept, which customs they would accept on previous occasions, and talk about that very, very much so in all of this. He has different shitot on various different topics in of itself, and he would talk about various different other events that actually occurred with regards to Yemenite Jewry, and what the customs are, what was going on in Yemen at that point in time, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. I think he was also someone that would speak very much so about with regards to the, unfortunately, might have occurred, the kidnappings in the among Yemenite Jews when they made Aliyah to Eretz Israel in the year 1949. So that's something else I think he spoke about and been vocal on in of itself. Now, he actually, in his institution, the Pu'ulat Tzaddik of Rabbi Ratzabi, he'd have like an all-star faculty lineup, including Rabbi Yitzchak Ratzabi, Rabbi Moshe Ratzabi, who we spoke about before, author of many great books. Rabbi Obadiah Yonah, I think, another great rabbi. Rabbi Netanel Umisei, I think, is another great author of books on the laws of Nida, Birach Hashem, in of itself. Rabbi Abinoam Yahab is another great rabbi, especially from Beit Arolit. Rabbi Ronel Aaron, a rabbi and Al Betin of Netivot, is part of the faculty. Meir Lior Levi was a book of the author of the book called the Or Halakha, respectively. Let's speak a bit more, go back to Rabbi Shlomo Korach, because he really was a great rabbi of his time. And very much lived. He was born in 1935. That was a turbulent time period in Yemen, and that's something we have to point out over there. And the title you would give a rabbi in Yemen is Mori. A lot of people will give it over there. So he was actually named his grandfather, Mori Amram Korach. That was his name, you could say. And it's interesting, just to go back to Rabbi Amram Korach. He was the last chief rabbi of Yemen in of itself. And Rabbi Yechiel Korach was also a key rabbi over there at that point in time. He would learn actually under the auspices of his father, Rabbi Yechiel Korach, and also under Rabbi Mari Chaim Tzalach, respectively, an all-star lineup of rabbis. He was 14 years of age, Rabbi Shlomo was, when he made Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael, part of that operation that went on when they came. And, to move to Rosh Ayin, that was the first step over there, and many people would move. At that stage in time, many of the Yemenites, that was a place in of itself. And obviously, it's reported over there his younger sister got, we don't know what happened to her when she arrived in Israel. Many people say what many Yemenite children would have went missing at the time of the formation of the State of Israel. Very highly documented. I recommend everyone to learn more about that specific episode in of itself. And now in Rosh Ayin, we mentioned before, Rabbi Shlomo Korach will end up moving with his family to Jerusalem over there, and would learn in the Makor Chaim Yeshiva or Yisrael in Petah Tikva, as we mentioned before, and we'll move on to Merkas Arab because of the, let's say, I think they were speaking Yiddish in the other yeshivot, so it was very difficult for him. And then eventually he went to Lakewood, we mentioned, and when he got married in Lakewood, before that he was in Ponevezh. Afterwards he would return to Ponevezh after he came back from the United States of America, and very much were part of the yeshiva of Ponevezh, respectively. It was actually in the year 1964 where he received his rabbinic ordination, as I mentioned before, from a great all-star lineup of over there. And I think in 1965 he was rabbi of the Yemenite congregation in Bebnei-Brak, a very prominent position that was. And we mentioned before he would set up the Timanit Yemenite yeshiva in Bebnei-Brak over there, of the name of the Chanichei HaYeshivot over there. So it's actually interesting. It was in the year 1986. There was a passing Rabbi Yaakov Landau. So at that point in time, Rabbi Shlomo Korach was appointed the rabbi of the city of Bebnei-Brak, and I think he was, let's say, the first rabbi over there. And the Shmonel Rabbi Bebnei-Brak Alidei Rabbinut Reshit. That was at that point in time when it was under the Rabbinut Reshit, let's say, a flagship over there, and would really do various. I think it was working with other people over there, including Rav Moshe Yehuda Leib Landau over there, and so on and so forth. So, very, very great rabbi in of itself. So he, as we said before, he authored many great books. We're going to explore through the highlights of his book at the moment in the coming minutes. As I mentioned before, one of the books was called the Yalkut Chaim, which is actually in 5 volumes, happens to be. Dinim Min Hakim, or Kudmim, let's just say, and Min Hagei Teman, respectively, over there. There was other great books he would write also. I think one of them was published in 2003, connected to the Min Hakim of the Yemenite community. Sefer Shelot Teshuvot B'Halacha B'Shem Teshuvah K'Halacha. I think this was actually printed in Bebnei-Brak in 1994. And then other books, even example, Machshava itself. For example, the V'Amcha Kulam Tzadikim. This was printed in Bebnei-Brak in 2013, 5 years before he passed away. And the book Zot Emunati was printed in Bebnei-Brak in the year 1992 over there. So as I said before, he passed away on the 13th of Cheshvan. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the great book over here, which he had authored. Now, anyone tuning in at the moment, we're exploring the history, because it's going to be the Hilula this week, of a great Yemenite rabbi, someone named Rabbi Shlomo Korach. So anyone tuning in live, please subscribe to the channel and join our community. So welcome everyone that's on. One of the teachings he gives in his book, we're going to talk about the book which was printed in 2013, V'Amcha Kulam Tzadikim. I think it comes actually from page number 22 to 25. He teaches, Melamed Shmanhik Olamo B'Chesed in Sopi. This is one of the teachings he gives over there. Now another teaching, I believe he gives over in page 23 to 25 once again. You don't have to become the greatest of the generation in yourself. Just whatever attributes we have been given in our life, trying to become the best that possibly we can potentially. That's the teaching. Remember, this book was printed in 2013. Now another teaching. This actually comes once again from the book, I think it's Sikha 33 respectively, on pages 155 to 156. Another nice teaching of his. This comes from this one's once again printed in the year 2013. I think it's the 8th Sikha, if I'm not mistaken, 8th conversation in the book, on page number 45. We have to stress over. So very, very great rabbi of his time, and he was actually close to another famous rabbi, someone named Rabbi Netanel al-Sheikh, also that's someone that we should also point out who was close to I think the author of the Turat Avot book, if I'm not mistaken. So that's something that we should really point out about. And let's say something about Rav Netanel Alshech, one of his rabbis. He himself, I think, was born in Israel, unlike Rav Korach, and he was actually working. He was great rabbi in Be'er Sheva, and he was author of very some great books, not just the Turat Avot, the Menorah, or let's just say itself, the various Sidurim, I think, also, and was very close with Rabbi Shlomo Korach and various other great rabbis over there in of itself. So I think he had close correspondence with other great rabbis, including Rabbi Yitzchak Ratzavi. He talked about the Dardiyah movement, because remember that was a big topic at that point in time in Yemen beforehand. And I think he had discourse. He was speaking to various other famous rabbis. He was speaking, getting into halachic discussions with Rabbi Yosef Tzubari, for example, Rabbi Ovadi Yosef, and so on and so forth. Another rabbi he was close to, Rabbi Pinchas Korach, who is considered currently one of the greatest Yemenite rabbis in Israel. Without that, I don't know how they're directly related. They've got the same family name. Rabbi Pinchas Korach was born in the year 1941. And I think he's got the Shari Halacha Study Center. It's an office in Bnei-Brak in itself, and has authored around 20 works. So you see the Korach family itself, his family very well renowned for writing a lot of different great important Torah books. Let's say something about Rabbi Pinchas Korach, the rabbi he was very close with. He was also a student in the famous Ponevezh Yeshiva, and would give weekly lessons, I think, in the Shari Halacha Study Center. And very much in Kiryat Honor he was teaching in. He'd given lessons also in Bat Yam for decades. I think he presides over Kollel. I think in various other areas, teaches in Modin Elit, in Kiryat Sefer, and the Rosh Yeshiva of Makor Chaim Yeshiva, which I think was directed by Rabbi Hananel Sharara, if I'm not mistaken, and really has been a pivotal figure, let's say, in the Yemenite community in Jerusalem, and considered one of the central leaders in the Yemenite Jewry. And a huge minyan is actually in a massive hall. It's actually under his leadership, especially during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, respectively, the high holy days. This great rabbis. Some of the books included among his books, let's just explore some of them, includes a Beit Moed, which he talks about the laws of mournings according to Yemenite custom. I think it's in two different parts, if I'm not mistaken. Yakar Tiferet, that's another important book. Dealing, let's say, on commentaries on the book of Esther, Megillat Esther, and I think we'll talk over the branches of the various ancestral trees of that point in time, especially coming from Yemen, let's just say in itself, and we'll write over a book on the Psalms, on Tefillot, respectively. Also, so today we're speaking about Rabbi Shlomo Korach, arguably one of the famous rabbis of his time in Bnei-Brak, chief rabbi of the city. He was born in Sana'a, in Teman. He passed away in Israel. He was 83 years of age. He was a Bet Din and the rabbi of the city of Bnei-Brak, very prominent positions. He learned in Yeshivat Ponevezh, in Yeshivat Lakewood in America, and was author of many different great works, including Arichat Shulchan, Sefat HaMelech, Avat HaMelech, Zmanim LeMelech, Zot Munati, and various other great rabbis. He was a Talmid of Rabbi Aaron Kotler, Rabbi Abram, I think Elkanah Kahana Shapira, respectively, and was learning in various great places in of itself. One of the great rabbis of yester year he was, and he passed away 7 years ago. And in Shari Tzedek, as we mentioned before, was buried in the Sanhedria burial plot in Jerusalem in of itself. Now, as we mentioned before, and leaves great descendants, great rabbis, doing much important kiruv all across the world, which we also have to point out also, and came from great rabbinic pedigree, especially his grandfather, as mentioned before, was the famous Rabbi Amram Korach, the last chief rabbi of Yemen, which is very, very interesting enough. Now, friends, we're a community here. We are learning about great rabbis of yesteryear. Now, if you descend from any of the great chachamim we happen to be speaking about here inside the series, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information on the great chachamim and so on and so forth. If you feel anyone is interested in watching any of these videos, please share these videos also to other people also. And maybe at one stage in time, we're going to record about the history of Yemenite Jewry That will be definitely a very exciting prospect. I would definitely have to select 2 or 3 or 4 part series because there will be so much to cover over there. And the Yemenite community nowadays, there's so many great Yemenite rabbis, especially in modern era, including Rabbi Moshe Ratzavi, Rabbi Yitzchak Ratzavi. There's various different great rabbis out there, and that's something to point out. Rabbi Shlomo Korach, Yud Gimel Cheshvan. I think at the moment we are currently on the Hebrew date, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be about 4 or 5 days time. I think we're on Chet Cheshvan, or we're on the 9th of Cheshvan, if I'm not mistaken, at the moment. So his Hilula is coming up very, very soon. So very important to know that. And watch your space on this channel over here. We're recording not just videos about great rabbis of yesteryear. We are exploring various different histories of what occurred in Jewish history in various different countries. We're exploring about what actually occurred, especially another special series that we're doing at the moment is exploring the different countries of yesteryear, what actually went on in Jewish communities in, let's just say, hold on a minute. Hold on. We're exploring at the moment the history of what went on in the diaspora in many, many countries, which is a special edition at the moment. We're trying to actually cover all the countries that there was. We spoke about the history of the Costa Rican Jewish community on this channel. We spoke about the history, this was yesterday, El Salvador. We spoke about the South American countries such as Brazil, Uruguay, even places Cuba, Peru, Venezuela. I think we've spoken about Ecuador already. So that's another project we're working very much on at the moment. And we really, really hope to, just do more within regards to that. And just more importances that we're doing at the moment on this channel. We are also recording with a great rabbinic personality here in modern day. We try to get best wisdom, especially here from Jerusalem, Bet Shemesh, great rabbis from across the world to check over the Chizuk. So that's another reason to check out the channel in itself. And we're doing so much more. So please, everyone, join our channel over here. Please subscribe. We're about to come into Parshat Lech Lecha this week, the portion which is talking all about Abraham, Avram Avinu, and the whole story within regards to Sarah. So we put up actually a couple of videos within regards to the weekly Torah portion also on this channel, and we've done so much more. So I'm going to wish you a good day. I need to see some scenes just in a shopping centre here in the city of Bet Shemesh. And we're just scenes of the city, just to leave you all. And please, everyone, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're nearing 8,000 subscribers at the moment, friends, which is a phenomenal achievement. It's a very beautiful synagogue here as we explore this beautiful country, just outside a shopping centre at the moment. Just recording this just before, a day before Shabbat. This is the sights and scenes of Israel. We've already recorded a video today. We recorded a video earlier about another great rabbi with his Hilula this week. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, how you been? Listen, let me just, so wishing everyone a good day. Hold on.